We know you like talking Star Wars. We like talking Star Wars. So that's exactly what we're going to do. This is The Wars and More.
You know, back when Bob Iger announced the slowdown in Star Wars movies, I guess we didn't really see coming the ramp up in everything else. This week's theme is going to be new. We got new comics and books, additions to the already announced TV series, and we're even going to have our first spoiler segment for episode 9. This is The Wars and More. I'm Joe, and of course with me is my good buddy Doug. Hey Doug, how you doing this week?
Doing pretty good, Joe. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I'm a little under the weather this week, so sorry if I don't seem with it.
It's all right.
We'll get through.
Yeah.
So last week we talked about the new series of shorts and the new YouTube channel Star Wars Kids.
Right?
And of course those shorts are Galaxy of Adventures. So we've got our first look at those. We've got to see the first ones. Thoughts? First thoughts?
Well, first thoughts are the animation style to me looks all right. You know, looks cool. I think last week I said I wouldn't mind seeing the original trilogy films redone in that animation style. I'm not sure, like the shorts themselves, you know, they take a little bit of creative license with some of the scenarios from the films,
right?
And I guess I'm not sure. I understand their thinking of getting younger fans introduced to Star Wars. But I even mentioned it last week. Show them Star Wars. And I still feel that way. So, I guess that's my overall thought. But, you know, these aren't bad. But they're, you know, they're not, I don't know, super spectacular to me, I guess. They're
right. Well, we are definitely not the target audience. So
there's no doubt about that.
You have to keep that in mind.
And I'm trying to do that. I will say, you know, all the familiar dialogue, we've all heard the dialogue so many times over that we know it, right?
Yes.
So hearing all of that with the animation's kind of cool. And that's where I was going with, you know, do the films in this animation style. That'd be it'd be a neat take. It'd be a different take because, you know, some of the parts in these films that, you know, they didn't have like a lot of the, like the original trilogy. They didn't have all of the, wire suspended, you know, jumps and flips and stuff like that they were doing in like Revenge of the Sith and all that. In the animation, you could, you know, reimagine the Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader duels and things like that. And, you know, it would be fun to watch, I guess. But what we have, and calling them shorts is no joke. I mean, we're talking, these are like, 60 to 90 seconds.
Yep.
And, you know, like I said, they're okay. But I just don't know how necessary they are. Because I still feel like even for young kids, watch the movies.
Yeah, well, we're kind of, I don't know how to put this, wired a little differently, right? With the way we grew up and versus the way kids are growing up now. These shorts are very much a thing for kids today. They like this quick hit, watch a bunch of different stuff, you know.
True. Short attention spans is what you're saying.
I wasn't going to go there. But no, I mean, even still, they'll binge through all this, you know?
Right.
So they'll end up still doing the same thing and sitting there for an hour, 2 hours, whatever, just going through all these shorts. But I think the moving from one to the other, to the other, to the other, it appeals to them.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Yeah.
There's I guess, a quicker sense of completion, right?
Yeah, sure.
So it's just we don't understand this as well because this is not how we grew up, you know.
This is very true. Yes.
So it's hard for us to put a finger on the pulse. I'd be interested to hear from some young kids about how they feel about this, if they like it, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, we have our reactions here, but to get the reactions of the target demographic would be absolutely good. Even my kids are older than this demographic, I think.
Right. So in the grand scheme of things, our opinion really means jack.
Yeah, that's true, and I get it, and I'm okay with that. Yeah. I think you mentioned before we actually started recording here, the videos they have, what are they called, the fun facts or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are they are more interesting, I think, than the actual shorts themselves to me.
That being said, though, there was one of the shorts that I really enjoyed.
Which one was this?
The Han and Chewie one.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I actually like the way because that one, they actually took the dialogue, they chopped it up and made this whole new scene out of it.
Right. Yeah.
Whereas the other ones, they used an existing scene and built on it a little bit. This one was chopped up and it was a new scene with the old dialogue.
Right.
I actually really enjoyed that because it was not something that I really saw coming.
True. It actually made it like almost like a new story in and of itself, huh?
Yeah. And that being said, since I didn't know what was going to happen there, that caught my attention. For a kid that hasn't seen Star Wars yet, maybe all of these are going to garner that same reaction that I had.
Right.
So that swung me a little bit.
I got you. Okay.
So that made me think this could work for the target demographic there.
Right.
But the fun facts, they were kind of cool because they dove a little into each character, you know? Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. You get the quick background and you could take that with you into watching the film and have a better understanding. That I can definitely see.
Yeah.
So that was cool. Another thing I will say that I did like was the Vader short.
Which one?
The one from Rogue One.
Okay.
And I gotta say, I was impressed that they didn't dial it back as much as I thought they were going to.
Yeah, the only thing they took out was him, pretty much chopping a dude that was up in the air.
Right.
Okay, I get that.
So that was impressive. I gotta say, I thought that was kind of cool. So, I mean, you're wanting kids to move into watching these films, you don't want to dial it way back in these shorts and then have them go, oh my God, what is this in the movie? Right. So,
right.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, they're not going to watch these shorts and then go see the movie, and they weren't expecting what they were. They're not getting false advertisement.
Exactly, which I like.
Yeah. These could be a good introduction.
Right.
So, yeah. Time will tell, right?
Absolutely.
Like I said, it's hard for us because we are not the target audience here, and we know that.
Right. And that's where I'm coming from when I say I feel like they're unnecessary, but, you know, I could be wrong about that.
Right. Yeah, it's, like I said, it's real easy for us as Star Wars fans to go, what was the point of that?
Sure.
And I think we need to not do that. Remember, this is Disney now.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. You and I are not board members at the head of a multi-billion-dollar company. That's for sure.
Right. And the folks over at Disney, they've been very successful for a long time.
This is true.
So, yeah, it's definitely got potential.
Yep, for sure.
And like I said, potential, but not for us.
Right.
All right. So Star Wars Celebration. I have a feeling we are on the cusp of the whirlwind that's going to be all the announcements, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm sure those are going to start hitting us hard soon.
So they keep trickling in. More authors, which is good.
Right.
So they added 3 more authors. E.K. Johnston. Sorry. Justina Ireland. I'm going to butcher her name, ain't it? Zoraida Cordova.
Okay.
Have all been added as guests at Star Wars Celebration.
Awesome.
So this is good news, and I know we keep harping on this. If you don't have your Celebration tickets and you want to go, Sunday and Monday is all that's left. And for what's being said, there's not much left.
Right.
Even on those 2 days.
Yeah.
So if you want Star Wars Celebration to be part of your future, you better get on it. And I have a feeling with the way these are starting to trickle in, we're going to see some big announcements real soon. And you're probably not going to want to miss it.
Right. So it sounds like, as far as authors go, you know, got a lot of the big ones here. So this is pretty cool. If you're into reading Star Wars books and things, you know, all the ancillary materials that go along with the films. Now, help me out here because I haven't experienced this firsthand. I don't know if you have or not, but a lot of times these authors will do kind of like a round table or something, right? You have several of them on a stage at the same time?
Yes.
Right, so sounds like
there'll probably be some panels that are focused on authors that are in the same ballpark.
Okay.
So telling similar stories around characters that, you know, intersect.
Okay.
And then they'll have other ones with like your notables, your authors that do a lot, you know.
Gotcha.
So your Timothy Zahns and now like E.K. Johnston's one of those.
Right.
She's one of those authors that's doing a lot now. So she would probably be included in one of these panels. Where Claudia Gray is another one.
Right.
That they will get these authors that are doing more and more in Star Wars and being really, really active, and they'll do a round table with them.
That's awesome.
And what it's like working with the screen creators in building these stories.
Right. Yeah, because that's it's the sort of thing I have heard them talk about before is,
their collaboration.
Collaboration, right? You definitely don't want to step on the toes of what's happening in the film world. That's for sure.
Right. And the same thing goes for the film world, not stepping on the toes of what's happening in the new canon, because the new canon is supposed to all be cohesive.
Correct. But I would imagine the film crews have a little bit more leeway than the authors do. You know what I'm saying?
It's typically the way it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah. In most, Star Wars has been better than most as far as staying true to books.
Right.
Because in other, what's the word I'm looking for? Let's just say universes.
Uh-huh.
They seem to give less of a crap.
Right. Some of your other Star franchises.
Yeah. Not just Star franchises, but like,
I know.
You know, just other franchises, period. They just like, oh, well, in the book they did this. Yeah, I don't give a crap. You know,
right.
Like, so, Star Wars is better for that. And especially since, like, Timothy Zahn, for example, when they were going to create Thrawn for Rebels, they went to Timothy Zahn.
Right. Yeah, no one better than the guy who created Thrawn to, pick his brain, right?
Right. Wow, what a fantastic segue. So, speaking of Timothy Zahn and Thrawn, the third book of this new Thrawn series has been announced. Thrawn Treason.
Ooh. Nice.
So, as was revealed on the Star Wars show, Thrawn's going to be faced with, there's going to be something going on in the Chiss Ascendancy that they are going to reach out to him. And he's going to have a choice to help his people or to remain loyal to the Empire.
Nice. So, knowing Thrawn like I do, I foresee at least some attempt to try and hold true to both commitments that he has.
I'm not so sure.
Judging from the book title, maybe not. But, I'm just looking back at the way Thrawn has operated in the past, and, I can see him, like I said, some attempt at trying to fulfill both commitments. And I could also see this would hold true to Palpatine as kind of a test for Thrawn.
Right.
Stay loyal to me and me alone, as opposed to help out your people.
Yeah, so just going off of what happened in Rebels and watching Thrawn's progression from the first novel to Rebels, right?
Right.
Thrawn definitely had a way of, or a certain new brutality to him.
Yeah.
So I think his entrenchment in the Empire is gonna take precedent here.
Oh, really?
I do. I think that.
Wow. That's interesting. So you thinking maybe he's going to stay loyal to Palpatine and let his people suffer whatever problems they're suffering from. Interesting.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but
yeah, it'll be interesting. We will definitely, find out. But that's not going to be till next summer, correct?
Correct. So we got some time.
Right.
I'm sure there'll be excerpts and things like that are going to start to fill in the gaps along the way. But, yeah. For now, who knows?
Right on.
Okay. Let's see here. So, it looks like we've been talking about the Vader series that was canceled by Marvel.
Right.
I guess they couldn't let too much time to go by without some Vader material.
Right.
They just announced Star Wars Vader Dark Visions. So this will be a new limited comic series that will be much like the other one, where it's just going to be a set number of issues.
Right. A limited run, yep.
Limited run. So, this artwork is interesting.
It's definitely interesting. Just judging from the cover art of this first issue, I get the vibe of like and this is, long ago. DC had their Elseworlds comics, and it would put your characters that you were very familiar with into universes or situations that they would normally never be in. And it kind of gives me that vibe. Like, I don't know. Like Vader's going to be somewhere you would never expect him, and I don't know if he should be. If that makes any sense.
Right, so judging by the title, and judging by this artwork, I don't know that this is going to be like real world Vader.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
So this is going to be
completely non-canon.
I don't think it's going to be non-canon. I think it'll be canon. But I think this is going to take place in Vader's head.
Oh, that'd be a way to do this. Okay.
So the title, Dark Visions,
Yeah, I get it.
This is going to be stuff going on in Vader's head while he is meditating, communing with the dark side.
Gotcha.
So when Vader's in his meditation chamber, this is the kind of stuff going on.
So, yeah. So here's what's really taken me aback about this, right? So Vader's on this, he's riding this animal. We can only, liken it to a horse. It's got these horns on its head, but still very much like a horse, right?
Right.
And he has this shield with the Imperial cog on it.
Yep.
Looking very much like a Black Knight, right?
Yep.
Something like that. Which is where I'm coming from with this being, quote unquote, in a universe he shouldn't be in kind of thing. Right? Because just looking at the cover, you're thinking, medieval times Darth Vader, if that makes any sense, which it shouldn't, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but as I look at this, like the whole cover here looks like the stuff of nightmares, right?
Yeah.
Like you see these two-headed birds in
right.
the background.
Yeah.
So that's what makes me think this is going to be going on in his head. This is going to be otherworldly for sure.
Well,
but
that would
like
be a way to make this, live within the canon of Star Wars, but be able to tell some completely, we'll just say, different stories. So, yeah, I get where you're coming from. I could dig it that way. just the look of it, there's something a little terrestrial from a historic basis for me that I'm seeing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I'm with you too, because if I open this book, this comic, and I start flipping through the panels here, and I see Vader go to some planet, ride some horse with a shield with the Imperial cog on it, fighting this medieval battle as a cavalry member, I'm going to shut it and go, what the hell?
Right. And so there's a line here in this article that caught my attention too. Dark visions will take the readers to the darkest parts of the galaxy. Places where the mysterious anti-hero known as Darth Vader can be someone's greatest fear and even ... someone's greatest hope. So that's kind of strange for Vader. So maybe you're right. Maybe this is something in his head. Maybe he sees himself as somebody else's greatest hope. And, that's what we're going to kind of see.
Or, let's say this does take place in the real world of Star Wars, right?
Right.
So, you remember the Plagueis novel?
Yes.
Do you remember Plagueis and Palpatine going to this world and taking up these force pikes and fighting this battle against these primitives?
Yeah.
And this was like a rite of passage for these primitives. So they saw them almost as gods descending from the stars.
Right.
Could this be something along those lines?
Maybe.
Would that kind of scenario make something like what's on the cover of this more acceptable?
Yeah.
And I hate saying acceptable because
right. And we're defying a classic a cliche line here, right? You don't judge a book by its cover, which is exactly what we're doing right now. But
it's funny though, because you totally judge books by their covers.
I know. Especially comic books, right?
I mean, and if you didn't do that, why do they spend so much money on making good covers for books?
Exactly. Yeah, artists get paid good money for that.
Yeah.
But
and that's just insulting the artists that make book covers.
Right.
Because then they're just like, okay, what the hell am I doing?
Exactly. But, I'm not, I don't know. I don't want to come across as saying I already hate it or anything like that, because that's not it. When I see something like that, it just kind of makes me a little nervous, a little leery. But again, let's wait and find out what the content of the book is, right? That's all for me.
Let's look at it this way. So back before the Disney acquisition and before this new canon, right?
Yeah.
And this whole promise of cohesiveness.
Yeah.
Something in this vein right here would be fine. To do a comic book with something crazy like this would not be unheard of in the old expanded universe.
I don't know.
Dude, there was a giant rabbit.
Yeah, okay, so you're talking the old stuff.
Yeah.
I'm talking the Dark Horse days. Right? That's when you had it was during like the Dark Empire and the Tales of the Jedi stuff. You could find like continuity charts like in books, right? In a novel or a comic book, it would put this book places right here in the timeline kind of thing, So I don't know if you'd have seen too much crazy stuff, back in the early days when it was, Marvel comics of long ago. Yes, there was some crazy stuff, but I think they kind of got their act together a little bit for, during what would that have been, the 90s?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's not just say comic books. Because the novels had their fair share of weird crap, too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Death Troopers?
Sure, okay. Again, though. Well.
Yeah, I got you there.
Well, I was going to say it kind of lived outside of the,
And that's my point.
But, I mean, you did have Han and Chewie in that book, and that could just kind of be a little side detour for them that they just never wanted to talk about again. Right?
Yeah, and like I said, and this is not sugarcoating it at all. Like, the expanded universe did its fair share of weird shit.
Yeah, I mean... For the most part, though, I think they pretty much they kept it together pretty good. Like you said it earlier, they were pretty good about it, and I have to agree.
Right. Well, we'll see. Right.
Absolutely.
I know we keep saying that, but it's definitely interesting.
Have something to add to the conversation, or you just want to let us know how we're doing? Email us, show@thewarsandmore.com. That's the best place to get in on the action. But if social media is a little more to your liking, @TheWarsAndMore on Twitter is always a good place to interact with us. And we're also on Facebook, facebook.com/TheWarsAndMore. And of course, your portal to this and everything else, The Wars and More, is thewarsandmore.com.
All right, so we teased a spoiler segment for episode 9, but we're also going to have a little spoiler-free segment because Kevin Smith was on Good Morning America, and he, of course, being good friends with J.J. Abrams, visited the set of episode 9. Let's take a listen to this.
I was just on a big-time movie set. I was just over in England, and I visited J.J. Abrams on Star Wars, the new Star Wars movie.
And you can't speak, can you?
No, oh my Lord, they make you sign so many non-disclosure agreements that if I said anything, somebody pop out a lightsaber, cut my hand off.
You're probably already in trouble for mentioning
Probably,
it.
just for mentioning it. But I do want to say this. While I was there, number one, JJ's doing the Lord's work, man. This movie looks fantastic. It's a year away, but man, It looks fantastic. I wept on set because I saw somebody give a career best performance, somebody I've seen in these movies before. I rolled a tear. It was so darn powerful. Biggest set I've ever seen in my life. Like the dude's not directing a movie. It's like he's directing a small country.
Yeah.
Like the thing is so massive. And I sat there for a week and watched this scene, 2 scenes get filmed. One of them was absolutely amazing. I heard plot details and stuff. Movie's gonna be fantastic. So I got to watch somebody else direct. Normally, I'm a director. I got to watch quality direct. So I walked away learning a thing or two from JJ, man.
That's
so I actually
awesome.
think we go make a new movie in the new year. We're making a sequel to Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back called Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. Yes, thank you. So I'm ready, man. Having just come off the Star Wars set, I'm ready to put all that to work. Now, granted, he's got a $1 zillion budget and we have like 8. So it'll be a smaller production.
Wow. Very reminiscent of his comments from The Force Awakens.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, totally.
I mean, he's going even further this time because he says JJ's doing the Lord's work.
Yeah, that's a bold statement.
But Kevin Smith he's a Star Wars fan.
Yeah, in a big way. Yeah.
So, which I do got to say too, he's looking good.
Oh, yeah.
He is definitely, taking that heart attack he had seriously.
Yes. Yeah. And that's good to see that.
He's looking darn good.
Yes.
So good for him. But one, I already said one. So 2, he mentioned that this is the biggest set he's ever seen in his life.
Right.
Makes sense.
Makes sense. Because he said, they have what, a gazillion-dollar budget or something?
Yeah, and he has 8
Yeah.
for his new movie.
What did he mean? $8? That's But speaking of his new movie, nice to hear. This is going to be starting production. Something I think we all look forward to.
Yeah, absolutely. I enjoyed the first one.
Yeah, totally.
Don't want to see him go, and he sells himself short a little there. I got to see a real director or whatever.
Yeah,
he said,
absolutely, absolutely.
He sells himself short right there. He's a pretty good director himself. And if you haven't seen the episodes of Flash that he directed, you need to check him out.
Right on.
He's not a bad director.
No, not by any means.
But one thing Kevin Smith's always done, he's always been kind of humble. So
Yes.
he sees himself as a kind of a low budget guy. He's not.
Right.
He does stuff on a lower budget, but it doesn't take away from his talent.
Correct. Totally. So
Because go
no, I'm anxious to get to the other part of. So you mentioned 1.1, point 2, point 3 that he was talking about is what did he call it? A performance of a lifetime or something.
Yeah,
Now this has got my interest piqued.
that made him weep on set.
Yes. So, wow, that's just got my speculative mind racing here. So,
Well, one, he says it's someone you've seen in these movies before,
correct.
and you're talking performance of a lifetime. I'm thinking Rey, Kylo Ren. Pretty much, I'm leaving it to those two characters.
Are ya? Because I've got another one that I'm thinking of already here. Maybe Mark Hamill.
Could be.
Only because I know Kevin Smith is from like our generation, right? Or my generation, whatever.
Glad you cleared that up.
Yeah. So I just feel like that may be his reverence for the character of Luke talking right there. Maybe Mark Hamill's performance made him weep, because that's his his favorite character maybe, or whatever from so long ago. I don't know. Again, this is all speculation, but man, hearing stuff like that from people who actually got to see some stuff, that's exciting.
Yeah, and it's funny because we're still a year out.
I know.
Like he even said that.
Yeah.
So to get this kind of hype now is one, good.
Yep.
Because we know stuff's happening.
Yeah.
And that means they're moving right along. So seeing a trailer in 4 months at Celebration,
Right?
I mean, this is happening.
Oh yeah, it's happening.
So
Yeah, I think the hype machine is just getting cranked up here.
Right.
It's gonna build steadily throughout the year.
but I think Kevin Smith has been a pretty big Rey fan.
Yep.
So I wouldn't be surprised if that performance is coming from Daisy Ridley.
It may very well be. I mean, and if so, awesome. I just, like I said, I'm thinking of, in general terms, of someone from my generation, I guess.
Right. Oh. It was the Millennium Falcon stuff that got him weeping before.
Right?
So I guess it would make total sense for it to be Mark Hamill getting him weeping this time. So
Hey, we'll see.
we'll see.
In a year.
But
Yeah, it's very cool to hear, especially from someone that we relate to as a Star Wars fan.
Absolutely. Right. Yeah, okay, so real quick, my first real understanding of learning how much of a Star Wars fan he was the Death Star conversation in Clerks. It's classic right there. So, yeah.
Yeah, the what about all the other people?
Right. Yeah. Luke blows up the Death Star. What about all the people working on the Death Star, their families? Yes.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's totally worth a watch.
Absolutely. All right. So, speaking of Mark Hamill, hey, look, we're just rolling with the segues today.
Nice.
So we talked about the lightsaber auction and the speculation on what one of the original lightsabers used in the film would fetch.
Right.
Right? Well, Mark Hamill chimed in on this. He tweeted, "Be advised, there was no one lightsaber I used in the films, but many, both for myself and my stunt double. Multiple duplicate backup props are commonplace during production. When the handle ridges were cutting my hands, they even made a few with soft sponge ridges. Hashtag buyer beware."
Nice. So, yeah. Now, what he's saying makes complete sense, right?
Yes.
For filming, yeah, it's totally commonplace that multiple props are used, right? And I think we all know this. When an auction house might say the set used prop, that might be marketing. What?
They mean A.
Yeah, but it might just be marketing, right? It behooves of them to just, change a word here and there, and it might, bump the price up a little bit.
Yeah, they want this thing to go big.
Right.
So.
But
speaking with the BBC, Roger Christian, who made the original lightsaber, right?
Mm-hmm.
He commented, "There are 5 originals I handmade myself, and this is one of them. It's real. I've got the Oscar to prove it."
Nice.
And he also went on to say, talking about the different props and how they're all unique.
Yep.
He said, "I was super gluing things together. They all look different."
Yeah, that's. I guess when you are the guy, and you're putting, basically what these are is small pieces of art together, right? You would know how each one differs from the others, and its own little idiosyncrasies that it may have. So that's kind of cool. I don't know. I wouldn't know, right? You know what I'm saying? But the guy who made them would, that's for sure.
Right. I mean, I kind of wonder what Mark's motivations are here.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Because personally, if I were in his shoes, it'd be kind of flattering for something like that to go such a high price.
But I guess so. That being said, Mark's he has experience with counterfeits.
Oh yeah,
So maybe that's where he's coming from. Maybe he just wants to stir stuff up.
Oh, who, Mark?
Yeah. Maybe he wants it.
Yeah, maybe. You never know.
He's all like, hey, that's mine.
That's funny.
Oh, maybe George promised it to him.
Oh, jeez.
No, I don't know. It's interesting. Who knows? Mark Hamill's also the lead advertiser for Star Wars,
Right?
because whenever he says something, everybody pays attention. So
Exactly.
it could be that. Just interesting that he chimed in on this.
Yeah. Maybe in his mind he is legitimately looking out for the customer here, or the auction winner. Just to make sure that they are aware that there were more than one. It could be a legitimate concern for someone shelling out that kind of cash.
Oh, sure. Sure, especially since it's estimated to go for like $200,000, right?
Right.
So if you spend $200,000 and you don't know that there's multiple,
Yeah, you're going to be upset when you find out.
right? So now at least you know.
Right.
But I mean, still, an original lightsaber, hand built by Roger Christian, that's worth some money.
Oh, yeah. That's a piece of history.
Yes. So, all right. The Mandalorian. Have we talked enough about The Mandalorian yet?
Not nearly.
Yeah, not nearly. I agree. So, every week it seems like there is a new casting rumor.
Yeah.
And every week, it seems to be another big name.
Right.
This week's no exception. Nick Nolte, rumored to join the cast of The Mandalorian.
Yep, totally. This is we are getting some veteran talent in on this thing, that's for sure.
You know, I'm not super familiar with Nick Nolte's work, other than 48 Hours.
Right.
So I don't have a lot to add to this.
I'm kind of with you here. I know I've seen him in some stuff. Off the top of my head, I couldn't even really tell you what all stuff, but it's, like I said, veteran actor, obviously very highly regarded for the work that he has done in the past, and I'm sure is going to, bring a lot of experience and talent to the show. So it's awesome.
Yeah, I'll say he comes from that same era like Carl Weathers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I said, but unlike last week when we talked about Carl Weathers, I'm familiar with him.
Right.
See tons of stuff, seen everything he has to offer. Like, unlike with Nick Nolte, all I've seen is like 48 Hours.
Right.
So, which is hilarious. 48 Hours is hilarious.
Of course.
So I would anticipate he's probably going to have a comedic role, but that's all I got.
Yeah. It is interesting, though, how you mentioned that comes from the same era as Carl Weathers. I kind of wondering now, is this a clue for us that there may be something to do with I don't know, older generation of Star Wars inhabitants, you know what I'm saying? And how this storyline goes?
It could.
It might. I don't know. It
is interesting that back-to-back announcements are, like we said, of that era.
Right.
Actors that come from that. The first two were new.
Right.
And then the next two were, veterans.
Right.
So if it's a clue, I'm not sure. But it is noteworthy.
That's a good way to put it. It's noteworthy. I don't think we can glean anything from it yet, but it's just we'll keep that puzzle piece over here to the side, and once we find a hole to put it in, we will.
Right, for sure. But the new announcements for the streaming service, they don't stop there. Stephen Schiff has been announced as the showrunner for the Cassian Andor series.
Right.
Now, this is another I'm not too familiar with.
Same here.
I know he's gotten Emmy nominations for his work on The Americans, which is a series that is very talked about.
Right.
And then the other two screenwriting credits that are noted in this Hollywood Reporter article are American Assassin, which I'm not familiar with, and Wall Street, Money Never Sleeps, which I'm somewhat familiar with. I've seen it, but not really my thing. Drama, those kinds of dramas aren't really my thing. But
right, I'm with you.
It was, I guess, well done.
Yeah. So, he was the showrunner for The Americans, correct? Is that what it said?
Yes.
So, I will say, I heard nothing but good stuff about that series. It's one of those ones that I have on my list to binge at some point. I just haven't gotten there yet. So, again, with all the good I heard about it, it has me excited to know that he's going to be involved like this in the Star Wars universe. So,
right. Well, what I'll say is The Americans was a spy series.
yes.
And this Cassian series is a spy series.
Right.
So everything under his belt that is being noted is drama. That spy series, drama type stuff. Like,
right.
So, and even with Wall Street, Money Never Sleeps, this is, what's the word I want? Deception.
Okay. Gotcha.
So it focuses on a character's deception. So he's got cred for writing this kind of series,
Yeah, absolutely. I guess what we can glean from this a little bit maybe is that we might actually have like a little difference that we're seeing already between the Mandalorian and this Cassian show. You got basically one's going to be kind of like the space western, right? And the other one's going to be kind of like the spy drama, like you said. So you got a little bit, same universe, but a little bit different angles they're going at them from. So,
right.
They're not just going to try and rehash the same thing they just did for us. That's encouraging.
Agreed. Yeah, they're taking it seriously.
Right.
So we'll pay attention, obviously, as this starts to ramp up. This is in very early, preparations.
Right.
So there'll be tons of new details coming. If the current climate is any indicator, it'll be coming fast.
Right.
So, all right. Galaxy's Edge. We've talked about it here and there. Keep getting little details. We recently talked about Smugglers Run and Rise of the Resistance.
Right. 2 rides I'm excited for.
Yeah, and getting even more excited for it as these new details come out. So one thing we talked about is, when this opens, this stuff's going to be crazy.
Yeah, totally.
The amount of people that are going to be going into these things is going to be just ridiculous.
Yeah.
But this may be ambitious, from what they're saying, because until this stuff opens and is operating, we don't know how fast they're actually going to be able to shuttle people through it.
Right.
But they're saying Smugglers Run, they'll be able to handle around 1,800 guests per hour, which is pretty fantastic.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. I was surprised to hear that, to be honest.
So, at 1,800 guests per hour, if that's what they're able to do, if I wait 3 hours for this thing, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I know.
But some of the details that they let out, it might be worth it the first time to wait upwards of that time.
Yeah.
Because this is on Inquisitor. They're saying that guests will not have a couple of buttons here and there for them to work. There will be around 200 controls in the cockpit that will require timing, reflexes, and teamwork to have a successful mission. And there will be, 8 people in each pod?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, it says 7 or 8 in each
Right.
pod for each ride. So with 7 or 8 people even, 200 buttons?
Yeah.
Or just controls, not necessarily buttons, but 200 controls to work with 7 or 8 people.
Right.
You're going to be busy.
Yeah.
And you're going to be, it's going to be fun because it's going to be frantic and you're going to be talking to each other.
Right. You're going to need to. There's going to have to be that interaction in there too, it sounds like. It's not going to be static where you sit there and watch a screen in front of you and get jostled around or whatever. But, there's no input from you. It sounds like there's going to be input from you, which is really the cool part of this one.
Yeah. And then the other attraction, Rise of the Resistance. So we discussed whether it was going to be actors and how crazy that would be and expensive to run even.
Right.
Well, it's not going to be. It's something Disney has experience with, which is audio animatronic characters.
Yes.
So there will be 50 animatronic stormtroopers.
This is cool.
Which is 50 of them? That's already crazy.
I know. But this is one of Disney's fortes here. These animatronics. For all of us who have been to a Disney park, we've seen them and they've been doing them for a long time. They're always updating them and it's really cool. Now, what I think is really cool is I think they can use their technology that they've, worked with for so long, incorporate that into the faceless stormtrooper armor, nameless, faceless, you have a stormtrooper, it's almost robotic-like, right?
Right.
I think it's going to work really well there. I don't know. I'm excited to see how that plays out because, yeah, I got a feeling it's going to be good.
Well, yeah, that's only part of the excitement, though, because they say eventually you will have to face off against Kylo Ren in an experience that is said to be unlike anything anyone has ever seen.
Wow.
Bold statement.
Yeah, bold statement, and it's going to create some high expectations. I don't know. Sounds good. I'm excited for it. That's for sure.
Absolutely. All right. Resistance.
Yes.
We got another new episode, Secrets and Holograms. So, back to the spy game.
Yeah, totally.
Took a little break from that.
Yeah. Focused on the racing a little bit last episode. This one, I guess Kaz is trying to exploit Tora's boredom.
Yeah. Which she ends up seeing right through. Not to completely skip to the end, but
Right. No, you're right. Yeah. Again, we go back to Kaz is really just not that good of a spy, right?
yeah, I mean he's not a spy. So this gets interesting because he ends up trying to. He's going in there to spy on this meeting between Captain Doza and the First Order.
Right.
And he ends up in Doza's office looking for this data pad.
Right.
Now, I'm going to jump around here a lot.
It's okay.
But we find out that Tora knows that Kaz was a Resistance pilot.
Right.
Not Resistance. New Republic.
New Republic, yes. Yeah, he's in the New Republic Navy.
Yes. So she knows that about it. Instantly takes that and jumps to him being a spy.
Yeah. Which you can understand why as things play out in the show.
Well, yeah, I mean, why is he in her father's office, right? Like, it's obvious you're up to something.
Right.
But
so Captain Doza has some dealings with the First Order. Supposedly the protection racket they're running with these pirates. And so
that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. And
protection racket.
And I guess from Tora's point of view, her father's interacting with the First Order, and Kaz coming from the New Republic Navy. I could definitely see where she would put the spy thing together, right?
Oh yeah, and she's gonna find out.
Right.
So this is just a matter of time now.
Yeah, totally. So okay, so you got to get to the one part.
Yeah,
yeah. Right. So go ahead.
So when he's in Doza's office, he has to hide, and he hides in the closet. This is crazy. So what's hanging in the closet? An Imperial officer's uniform.
Yes.
So I don't want to say that automatically means that Doza was an officer in the Imperial Navy or whatever.
Oh, okay. You don't want to make that leap.
It's a hard leap not to make.
Right. I was going to say, because that's right where I was going.
And he was very protective of that when Rucklin was trying to get in there.
Yes.
Like, that's private.
Yes.
But I don't take anything for granted in Star Wars as far as being obvious.
Right. But Doza doesn't strike me as like, old Empire collector type person or either. You know what I'm saying? So,
but he doesn't necessarily, like, his demeanor and everything doesn't necessarily strike me as Imperial officer either.
well,
I'm just saying that maybe it's not his, maybe it's someone he's related to, something like that.
it could be.
But it could absolutely be his. I'm not.
So the one thing I was prompted to do was, on Imperial uniforms, we have the red and blue rank bars, and it had the 3 squares on top and 3 blue ones on the bottom. So I was prompted to look up what the rank was. And for that uniform, the rank was commander. So I don't believe that really was like it's not like super high up in the Empire. I don't believe. And, maybe this might have been his position in the Empire when he was a young man, right? Obviously from the time frame, but maybe he wasn't like super indoctrinated into the Empire, Maybe the Empire fell apart while he was still young enough and he could assimilate back into a galaxy ruled by the New Republic.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. It could totally be his, but, like, Imperials don't necessarily hide. I mean, one of the aces is the old Imperial pilot.
Right. That's true. I guess I don't know. There's a lot of Imperials that are going to have to find, like, new jobs after Return of the Jedi. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just thinking maybe he's not necessarily hiding, but he's not flaunting it either.
Then why leave uniform there?
Hey, it's his office. You're not supposed to be breaking in, Kaz.
Yeah, I guess. Why not leave it in your room?
Yeah, true. I don't know.
Or in your quarters?
Not sure. But I'm sure this is going to play into the plot line of the story at some point.
Well, yeah, it was not there for no reason, and they didn't point it out, as Kaz going, really? Like, this is bad.
Right.
So maybe a pilot, yeah, they don't care, but an officer, that might be a problem.
Oh, you know what? That's a good point. That might actually be a thing. Yeah.
So,
He would have a harder time probably saying I was just taking orders, right?
right. What he was giving them.
Exactly.
Yeah, so yeah, maybe accountability is an issue there. Like,
Right.
okay. I like that. We'll see how it plays out.
Yep. Interesting though. I dig it. I think we're building up to something here. We'll just have to wait and see what it is.
I think all these things that keep pointing to Doza, though, tells me that Doza is not the one Kaz is looking for on this platform.
I tend to agree with you. Because yes, every episode it seems like we get another finger pointing at Doza, and it would be just like Star Wars to do a complete left turn and have you find out, whoa, hey, it's
he
not
totally should have been looking at Hype Phazon.
Exactly. Somebody. Yeah.
I think his caginess, Hype Faison's caginess, back when they were like, he was saying he doesn't want anything to do with their visits.
Right.
I think that was a tell. I think Hype's the guy we're looking for here.
It could be. It definitely could be.
I think it's just too obvious. Like the everything pointing at Doza. It's not Doza.
Yeah, I think you're right. Even though this is a show intended for younger viewers, I think they're aware that the younger viewers are smart enough to how do I put it? Like, they're going to put all these clues together as well, and then they're going to hit them with the something out of left field, So, which is good because that makes for better TV, right?
Yeah. Well, with the younger viewers, they have an advantage with that kind of storyline. They're not as suspect, like they're not as suspecting as we are now. Like,
True.
They're new.
Yeah.
So we've been tricked too many times.
That's right.
So, but yeah, who knows? Maybe they'll trick us. It is Doza.
Yeah, it could be. You never know. That's why I say we're gonna have to wait and find out.
They're like, all the older fans thought they had this figured out.
Yeah. Suckers.
Yeah. There's Filoni coming through.
Exactly. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Oh, I like it. I like it a lot.
All right. I guess it's time we're running late here.
Yeah, we are.
I guess it's time to go ahead and get into those spoilers we were talking about.
All right.
Spoiler. Animation action.
No. I am the father.
That's impossible.
If it leaks, we'll know it's you.
Wow, I ain't heard that for a while.
I know. It's been a while.
So, episode 9.
Yes, episode 9. Well, and we're not going to call it news because it's definitely spoilery speculation stuff, huh?
Yeah.
So, this is from Esquire, and let's see. This is according to a Reddit user who claims to have a source working production on the upcoming movie. This post reads, I also heard that the movie will follow 3 plot lines. Poe and Finn in a mission. The second plot line would follow Rey and Rose going in an adventure of some sorts. And the last plot line would be from Kylo's perspective, trying to keep the First Order in line and fulfill his plans. So, article goes on to say, this is all likely some sort of opening section in the first third of the movie, given other leaks that have pointed to certain characters on set together. So, sounds like this is kind of like the beginning, like the setup portion of the film. But sounds like we're going to have Rey and Rose on a mission together. Interesting.
Yeah.
And
considering they've had 0 interaction.
Exactly. That's, pretty much when, so other rumors that I've heard prior are placing episode 9 about a year after episode 8. So we're to assume, I guess, that Rose has had plenty of time to recover from her injuries, and she and Rey meet and get a chance to know each other and are going to be able to work with each other well enough to go off on a mission, and whatever that may be, we'll see. But then the other plot line is Poe and Finn. It's going to be like, getting the boys back together for whatever it is they're going to be doing. Kind of like the beginning of Force Awakens.
Well, this one, I think we've already seen set photos that point to this.
Absolutely, we have. That would be the ones you're talking of the on the grassy hillside with the horses with all the neon tape on them and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, I agree.
I can assume that this is confirmed. You're going to see Poe and Finn work together.
Yeah, totally.
Pictures don't lie.
Yeah. So,
as far as the Rey and Rose, I'm assuming Rey's going to be doing something that needs Rose's technical expertise.
Yes.
That's my only assumption. I can't imagine they're going to be too chummy yet, because even though they're saying a year, if you go and make them like best friends all of a sudden,
right,
that's just not going to work.
Yeah, I agree with you. And even if you say, look, it's been a year, but as the audience, we don't have that context.
Right.
Yeah. So I agree with you there. That's a good point.
So, like I said, I'm assuming her technical expertise is going to be needed.
Yeah, totally. But, let's see.
The Kylo Ren thing. That, I think, is... that's an obvious. You're going to see some Kylo perspective here.
Yeah.
You got that with Vader. You got that with Palpatine. You're going to see things from their point of view a little bit.
Right. Yeah. You're right. Totally. I mean, that's normal for these movies. You got to have some sort of context for what's going on in their head. But speaking of Kylo Ren, there's another article, kind of rumors here. It's from Making Star Wars. Questions they're asking are, in Episode 9, does Supreme Leader Ren wear a mask? Question mark. The same mask? Question mark. Does he go full Darth Vader? Question mark. Goes on to say, sources have said they saw Kylo Ren with the reforged mask on in various stages of dress, which also means we can't yet say how often he wears the helmet. So if this news disappoints you, try to keep that in mind. So, let's see. It looked like the mask was pieced back together using some kind of red crystalline bonding material. The visual gave the mask a very corrupted look. A little Kylo, a little Vader, and maybe even with a hint of Maul's facial stylings. Well, for me, I'm not ready to say, I hate it, but as Supreme Leader of the First Order, who is basically in charge at this point, just have yourself a new mask made, right? If you're going to wear the mask.
So,
My problem with this is, in The Last Jedi,
Yep.
he has this interaction with Snoke that pretty much calls him out for, being a child hiding behind a mask.
Right.
And then he smashes the crap out of this thing, and I think that's a turning point.
Right.
He is no longer fooling himself on who he is.
Exactly.
I think if he puts the mask back on, this diminishes that.
I see what you're saying.
And I think, in my opinion, him putting the mask back on is nothing more than a ploy to try and make a second Darth Vader.
Right. So there's a couple different ways you could look at this from, right? So in The Force Awakens, Rey points out to Kylo that you're just scared that you'll never be. What's the line?
You'll never be as powerful as Darth Vader.
Powerful. That's it. Yes, powerful as Darth Vader. And I think the mask is part of Kylo's way of trying to, if not be powerful, kind of put up the front that he might have the power, even if he doesn't, of Darth Vader. Because I still think there's insecurity in Kylo Ren.
Yeah, but I don't want to see this. Like I said, I felt like there was a turning point there, and I want to see Kylo Ren be a new villain, a different villain. I don't want to see him imitate Darth Vader. I thought he crossed that threshold. Now, this is just me.
Yeah. No, I totally get where you're coming from, too. And I agree, because that would make him, for lack of a better word, scarier, right? I mean, now he knows where he stands in the galaxy, and that's it. You better watch out for Kylo Ren, right?
Right.
Now, piecing to get mass back together and trying to put up the Vader front or whatever, you're right. It kind of takes a step back. But I got a feeling, I just have this feeling that the story might take that route, because I always got the impression that there was I don't know, he lacked the confidence to I don't know, fulfill his destiny as supreme leader, quote unquote. I don't know. But we shall see.
I mean, this is still too reminiscent of Anakin Skywalker to me. But I'll put it this way: maybe he looks at Ben Solo as weak, echoing his line.
Right. Yes.
From Force Awakens.
That makes sense. Yes.
He was foolish, like his father.
Right.
Talking about himself in the third person, even though he's not, because he's someone else now.
Right.
So maybe that's the path they're going to take. He puts the mask back on because, he can't look at his own reflection. That person's dead to him.
Right.
I guess maybe, but it's too reminiscent of Anakin to me. And maybe that's the point.
Yeah, I mean, it is the Skywalker bloodline, right?
But I think that hurts The Last Jedi. Because I think him smashing that mask was him accepting both parts of himself. I think he honestly thought that he was going to walk that line between the two. That was the decision he made. He was going to be the combination of Ben Solo and Kylo Ren. Because even his words to Rey were, we'll destroy it all.
Right.
The Jedi, the Sith, everything.
All of it, right.
He was looking at himself in a completely different light.
Yeah, well.
I think putting the mask back on pushes him more to one side again.
Right.
I'd like to see him still thinking that he's straddling now. I'd like to see him. He truly thinks he's doing the right thing by, being both parts of himself. Albeit still a bad path.
Sure.
And maybe misguided because maybe it does lean one way as far as him wanting to be in charge of it all. So his thirst for power is still there, but he consciously thinks that he's doing good. He's balanced.
Right. Yeah. I get what you're saying. Right. Like the the antagonist in the story doesn't realize they're the antagonist in the story, right?
Yeah.
I get that. Then there's always the possibility that, he smashed his mask because he was just really pissed off. I don't know. I get what you're saying. I totally do.
But that moment of sitting there in that elevator looking at the mask, right?
Yeah.
And to me, that's him looking at, is this who I want to be?
Right.
Is Snoke right? Am I hiding behind this thing? And him smashing it is like, he's not hiding anymore. He is who he is.
Well, I like the thought. I do. I guess the one piece of the article that we need to keep in mind then is he had the mask on in various stages of dress. So it means we can't yet say how often he wears the helmet. So maybe it's not that often. Maybe it's not as big of a thing as it's made out to be in this article. Who knows? So maybe it's just the sort of thing that's used for intimidation in certain scenarios when he needs it. I don't know.
I don't know. Like I said, I just don't want to see them try and make a new Vader. That's. I think his development so far as Kylo Ren, has been he idolized Vader. He wanted to be Vader.
Yeah,
and then he rose above that.
I don't know that he rose above it.
You know what I mean? Like, in his mind.
Maybe. Because I still go back to what Rey told him in The Force Awakens. And, But
The Last Jedi was after that. I think that...
I get that it was after that.
Her comments, coupled with Snoke's comments, is all what, like you said, made him pissed off. But,
right.
Like, did that in a way that grew his character.
So for me, I'm just gonna throw this out there that, and we're gonna have to end this soon.
Yeah.
But I think everything you're talking about in The Last Jedi, let the past die, kill it if you have to, we need to destroy the Sith, the Jedi, right? All of that led up to the point where he's asking Rey to join him and they'll rule the galaxy together. And when that didn't work out, and he woke up to Hux going, "What happened?" that crushed him again. That's what I'm thinking. Because, bear in mind...
Okay. So what you're saying is that him trying to walk the line thing and be the balance, that since that failed, he now sees that as a failure, and now he's going to go full dark side again.
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
And I guess, yeah, since...
I mean, we got our little glimpse of that at the end of The Last Jedi on Crate. All of the rage. And I understand the part that it had to do with just the fact that it was Luke Skywalker, but it was everything leading up to that point as well.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it's just I want to see more of that rage. You don't see that rage as well hiding behind a helmet.
Yeah, I got you.
I don't know. Like I said, I thought he grew beyond the helmet. You know, he moved past trying to emulate someone else.
Right. Well,
I don't know.
We'll see. I mean, who knows?
Well, if any of you have thoughts on that, you can always email us. show@thewarsandmore.com. That's the best place to get a hold of us. We're also on social media, if that's the way you like to communicate. We're on Twitter, @thewarsandmore on Twitter, facebook.com/thewarsandmore. And of course, you can find all of that and all the ways to find the show over at thewarsandmore.com. Any final thoughts this week, Doug?
No, I think that about covers it.
All right. We will talk next week.